Welcome back to Boilers in the Stands. Purdue wins 97-79 over Akron. A wire-to-wire win in a game that honestly wasn't as close as the final score indicates. We'll break down everything that you need to know right here on Boilers in the Stands. Welcome back to Boilers in the Stands. I'm your host, Joe Jackson. Alongside me, as always, is my co-host, Kraig Bowers. Today, Purdue gets the 97-79 win over Akron. A good game in terms of not letting any kind of Alabama hangover happen and being able to just come out and secure a win against a very, very good mid-major team. Before we get into anything else, I apologize if my audio is awful. I forgot the piece that connects my mic to my laptop here in Mackey Arena. So just going to have to kind of bear with it for this one. If you are a first-time listener, I promise my audio is probably 50 times better than what it is right now. But just want to get that out of the way, Kraig. Throw it to you, kind of your initial thoughts on Purdue's win.
Now, I think right off the back, the big thing is just the fact that, we talked about when we watched this team in the preview, like this was a quality team and they were ranked in the top 80 in Ken Palm. You come off that huge win in Alabama and, you're worried about, is there going to be a little bit of hangover from a big time game win and coming back into Mackey and maybe coming out a little bit too loose and not being focused enough. And, maybe early on, right? I mean, Akron hung around for a while. We thought they would. It is a high quality team. But at the end of the day, Purdue got focused. Purdue dug in. Offensively, it was never an issue. Second half, they come out. Defensive intensity to me was way higher, and they put it away and quickly made this a game that had no question of what the outcome was going to be. And that's what you want to see after a big win when you're coming back home and taking on a lesser opponent, but one that's still quality. And if you let them hang around too long, never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, exactly. And this game shows like just how good this Purdue offense can be in a game where honestly it never felt to me like they were fully clicking offensively. It felt very just kind of like, oh yes, a solid offensive game, and then they average whatever they average per points per possession. I'm gonna look it up now.
1.43,
Yeah,
1.439 points per possession before the walk-ons came in for those last two
yeah,
possessions.
1.426 total. Like just this, and I think honestly that's where I want to start is just the offense. Like the defense is the concern, and absolutely we'll talk about it. Needs to be shored up. This offense is like historically good. Like historically good. I think they're already like a top five offense in Ken Palm history. Last season, Duke set the Ken Palm offensive like efficiency record. I believe it was 130.1. Purdue right now is up to 127.8, and I believe they started the year at 124. This is a team that like it's not. It's an understatement to say that it's a great offense. Like that's not a good enough testament to how good this offense is. This is truly elite. Really one through nine for the rotation that's kind of come about. Like there is a lot of guys who can knock down shots, a lot of playmakers, and just so many options. So we'll talk about the defense and all that, but I just wanted to call that out. That this offense is. It's only been 4 games, 3 of them against mid majors. So granted, like still need to see it continue, but it's on pace to be like historically good.
Yeah, and I realize you say 3 of them against mid majors, but it's also not like they're playing teams in the 300s. The mid majors they've played have been decent teams. Oakland's picked to finish second in their conference. The team they play tonight, Akron, picked to win their conference. They're not slouch of mid majors. So think it's still definitely impressive, and the fact that they did it to Alabama too, I think just kind of shows what they're capable of, even against big time teams. Going to have to see more of it. Obviously, going to Bahamas, they're going to have a couple more big tests down there, especially depending who they're going to face in that second game, and we'll see what happens. But just off the back, Joe, if we're going to get into takeaways here pretty quickly, to me, my big takeaway is rebounding at Purdue is cool again. That's my big takeaway. And, we posited about, does TKR coming back change this team from a rebounding standpoint drastically? And at the time we said no, right? Because TK's never necessarily been a huge rebounder, but one thing we did discuss was he was way better as a rebounder in less minutes, like 24, 26 minutes a game, playing that 4 spot next to another big man, where he's boxing out a 4-man that's usually smaller than him, where a lot of time he's coming in and crashing the glass after a center has already kind of carved out some space in there. And it's been nothing but a revelation the last 2 games in terms of what he's been able to do. And he's ratcheted that to a completely different level. But I think just as importantly, I think his energy and physicality, when he attacks like he has been the last 2 games, everybody else feeds off of it. And I still, there's a piece of me that like, there's a switch that flips in Clough once he gets punched in the mouth. Like you can see it where it's like, okay, like, hey, go be that guy from last game. And then he gets kind of hit hard and then boom, wakes him up. He goes hard again. Right when he came back in the first half, after he got subbed out that first rotation, I think he gets 2 offensive rebounds almost right away after he comes back into the game. And then from there, he took off and was running in terms of collecting boards. Um, one of them finishes with 15, one of them finishes with 14. Just absolutely impressive. And with the offensive efficiency that this team has, if they can have like +5 to plus, if they can have +10 numbers in rebounding like the Edey era, this team's going to be really hard to beat. If they're somewhere around +5, still going to be really hard to beat.
Yeah, this team with TKR back for these 2 games, again, 2 game sample size, things will normalize a bit, but they're rebounding over 50% of their misses right now in the last 2 games with TKR back. You hit it with TKR, just like, I mean, he's just looked like an animal on the glass. I mean, he ripped one from CJ's hands at one point. He has back-to-back games with 15 rebounds and just really impressive right now. In terms of individual offensive rebounding percentage in the entire country. TKR ranks fourth and Oscar Clough ranks fifth. They are eating on the glass right now, and I don't expect it to sustain to this level just because I don't think it's a realistic level. But even if it drops just a little bit, like that's still going to be an incredibly good rebounding team. If this team is as good as they are offensively, anyways, where most times their first look's going to be awesome, if they're getting second chances where some of them is simply Clough and TKR just going back up and others is, hey, we'll just reset and run 20 more seconds off the shot clock and then go hit a bucket, going to be incredibly, incredibly hard to stop this offense. And that's how this team's going to have to win games. We'll talk about the defense in a minute, but yeah, really, really impressive stuff on the glass from TKR and Clough. And Clough, every single game is looking better and better. And you called it out before the game as we're just kind of sitting there and there was like the pregame stats and it was like you were like, hey, Clough's averaging a double double. And yes, it was only he's averaging a double double through 4 games now too. Um, and I feel like for as much he's gotten a lot of hate, it feels like, and like he's averaging a double double through 4 games. Like this is I don't know. I guess I don't know what his full expectations were or people had of him, and maybe that's where I'm getting caught up. To me, he was like a come in 6 to 8 points, just dirty work on the glass, and then
Mhm.
8 to 10 rebounds. Like that seemed like his role to me, and he's giving even a little bit more than that. So that's very good. To see going forward. I guess for me, another big takeaway is we started to see the glimpses even more than with Omer Meyer. And I guess to generalize the takeaway, Meyer and Clough continue to look better every single game. And that's exactly what you want to see with some of your newcomers. We'll talk about Meyer more in depth in just a minute, but I really I've enjoyed seeing the game to game progression from both of them.
Yeah, 100%. And my second takeaway actually was beyond the rebounding of the 2 big men was about Meyer. And I've been pretty open about where I think Meyer needs to get better to get more and more minutes on this team. And I think the last 2 games, especially, we've definitely seen a progression forward. I thought against Alabama, he took a defensive step forward in that game. In this game, I thought again more on this game specifically. I thought offensively he took a step forward. Now, when it got late, there were a few little sloppy things in there. Maybe let's get hungry and try to jack up a off the dribble 3 in there. But when the game was still kind of in question and that lead was starting to grow out before it got late in the game. I thought he was really good offensively for the most part. Are there still going to be moments where he's trying to figure it out? Yeah. Like you saw him on that fast break make a decision to drive into three people and just kind of get lost and that ball get eaten up and it turned into a turnover. But his good moments are really, really good right now. And I think as the season progresses, you're just going to see him make better and better choices. And to me, that's all it is because he has the talent, right? He just has to continue to grow, continue to get more comfortable with everybody around him, and figure out just kind of that decision making process that we saw from Braden in year one as well. And I think he's obviously going to be sitting extremely good to start year two after going through this full year. But I think by the time we hit January, so he's going to hit his stride. And for me, Joe, I wrote some notes down of what I consider good Omer. Okay. One, when he was really good today, he was facilitating the ball really, really well. And it up through like 3/4 of the game, I think he only had one turnover up to that point. Thought he made some really good reads, some really good passes, finds Clough in a really tough spot, in a pick and roll action and leads to a Clough dunk. It's just one of several examples that he had out there today. The other thing was in the first half, he got to his mid range. And to me, when I was watching Meyer during FIBA and just watching him practice, that's where he's deadliest. When he can get in there at his own pace under such control and he's got such a big body that he can get that mid-range shot off just about any time he wants. And he's pretty deadly with it. And if he doesn't hit it a lot of time, just because people have a hard time getting around him to block that shot, he draws a foul. So a lot of times he's either going to the line or he's going to go ahead and hit that. The third thing is catch and shoot threes. To me, he's been awful good off catch and shoot threes. Off the dribble threes, not so much. I think he provides that option late in shot clock when Purdue's struggling to get a shot, get a good look, because he certainly can hit those off the dribble threes. But I'm going to bet his percentage is considerably higher off catch and shoot. He had multiple catch and shoot threes tonight that looked really good. And then he didn't let the ball stick in his hands quite as much. When you watched him play in FIBA, there was a lot of times he was tasked with doing so much and creating for everyone else on those teams that the ball would stick for a long time. And I thought through the first couple of games it did as well. And tonight, especially in those lineups where Smith was out there too, I thought he did a lot better job of making quicker decisions, making quicker reads, and just keeping that ball popping. If he excels and continues to like kind of move forward and focus on those four things, I think he's going to be really, really good once the defense catches up, because he got bailed out for like 3 or 4 times tonight where he just kind of missed a rotation or who he was supposed to be covering on a specific play. But man, I think the future is really, really bright. Honestly, I think he's progressing at a faster rate than I would have guessed a month ago.